more levity, more light. They kind of fit together.
More fun.
More
is that
fun.
levity?
Yeah.
Levity is fun with it's spelled with an L.
Levity.
Levity. That's
Not
what I
leverty.
said. Levity.
Okay, start over again. Because that was just bad.
Okay,
Okay,
bad.
so you got to join us in our blooper reel. You get to see us at our worst and at our finest. Because we figure this show is about more light naturally.
Yeah. So if that's our worst, I'm pretty happy.
Well, maybe you are, maybe you're not. That
Yes.
is the strangest introduction we have ever done.
On the inside track.
On real estate.
By the.
With the.
In the.
Decor team. With Ken and Yetta Decker. And I'm Yetta Decker.
And I'm Ken Decker.
There you go. So this show, you're going to learn about how to create more light naturally in your home. And since we're moving into almost the shortest day of the year, December 15th, if you're watching or listening to the show the day that we're airing it, or if you're watching or listening it later, then maybe it's not December 15th, and maybe we've already passed the shortest day of the year.
December 15th is not the shortest
day of the year. No, I know. I think
year.
It's like the 22nd or something.
Well, it's close.
It's something like that, isn't it?
December 21st.
Okay, so that's pretty good.
Yes.
That's only 6 days from now.
Yes, and
Right.
it's called the solstice.
That's right. And it's December 21st.
Yes,
So-
I believe it's called that. I could be totally wrong.
So December 15th, we don't have a lot of natural light from the sky. If we're in Ottawa and area and you're thinking about Ottawa and area living and living in a home and a space here, if you're one of those people that get to go to Arizona or Florida for the winter, or maybe you already live there and you're just tuning in anyway, because of course you can watch our shows on YouTube or a podcast on chri.ca or at deckerteam.com.
That's amazing technology, really, when you think about it.
It
right?
is.
You can watch us anywhere in the world.
Right.
And why wouldn't you?
Well, why wouldn't you? And if it doesn't specifically pertain, because sometimes we get very narrow focused on Ottawa and area real estate because it's what we know intuitively at this point. It's what we have experience with. It's where we live. It's where we call home. And many of our viewers and watchers and listeners also call Ottawa home. And yet if you're from someplace else, I bet there's still some amazing content. The odd thing won't apply, and yet most of it does. So today's all about more light naturally, both in energy, that's the levity part, or really from the sky, from the outside world, or how do we create more light inside? So one of the great ways to do it is with mirrors. Mirrors reflect light, they bounce light around, and so you actually get a lighter feeling in your home with some mirrors. Not that you want to mirror all your walls, and yet a few extras.
That would just be creepy.
It would be creepy. It certainly allows more light in your house and a brighter feel, and that's good for my mood.
Mm-hmm. Now, when I was doing some research on this, it was interesting because it wasn't just mirrors. It was things like candle holders that are silver. You have some of those in the bathroom.
Yep.
It's silver frames on the mirror, but also on the pictures.
Right.
You can have silver colored, something that reflects light. And the other thing was you can actually do back-to-back mirrors. No, not really back-to-back. One on each side of a room. It's not really called back-to-back, would it be?
Front to front.
Yes. So it causes a lot of reflection back and forth and really will brighten up a room.
So that's a really good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2 is light-colored walls. Actually brightens the space and makes it feel more light naturally.
Yes. Light colors. So what's interesting is if it doesn't mean that it's just, white.
No.
You can only paint the walls white.
No.
You can
that feels like a hospital sometimes.
Yeah. You
Don't
can do
want
a
that.
soft white trim. You can still paint with some color in your paint. It's just that the darker it is, the more light it absorbs. And so dark paint can look lovely in a room that's full of windows with white trim. And you can put a nice accent color behind it. The other thing you can do is you can accent the wall that the windows are on with a slightly darker color.
Right.
And then where the light's coming in and bouncing off of, make those walls a lighter color.
Right. So then you'll get more light. What about ceilings?
Ceilings are a tricky thing. Most people go with white.
Yeah.
And yet you can add some color as long as it's not dark. You can add some slight color. Sky blue is beautiful on a ceiling.
If that's what you like.
Yes. If you're artistic, you could even paint clouds, fluffy white clouds on a sky blue ceiling.
Right. Now, if you're going to sell your home, though, you might want to take them down. So if we're talking, so right now we're talking mostly about how do we just get more light naturally in our homes.
And this is a great time to say why. Why do we want more natural light in our homes?
Because it makes us lighter.
Happier?
Yeah, lighter.
Yeah. And we get vitamin D.
When we let more natural light in.
Mm-hmm. Natural
Absolutely.
light, sunshine gives us vitamin D. And actually, we take little vitamin D drops. We put a couple drops on our hand every morning and lick it or suck it into our mouth. It's kind of weird, but it's better than putting our lips on the dropper. So it's easier to put it on your hand, and then that way you don't accidentally touch it.
Yeah, you got way more information than you ever thought you wanted to get watching more light naturally.
Well, you can get more light naturally, or you can get it in a bottle and put it on your hand. And vitamin D.
So number 3, less window coverings actually lets in a lot more light.
Yes, less is more.
Less is more. Now, there are times where you may want to have some blinds that don't take up much of the frame of where the natural light should be coming in through the window, that can be all the way retracted. And then when it's a really cold day or you're not home anyway, or even a really hot day, an insulated blind can be a great thing to help with the heat, because who cares if it's dark if you're not there, right?
Yeah, and so the blinds that flip, people think they're open all the way. They're still cutting out about 30% of the light, even if they're fully open and down. And you can test this. Just look in a room, look at the wall, and then without taking your eye off the wall, pull your blind up to the top so the whole window is exposed, and you'll be amazed how much more light comes in. The other thing that cuts out about 30% of your light is even a thin sheer.
Oh, yeah, maybe more than 30%.
Yeah,
Depending
maybe 40?
It seems to darken a room, and shears were all the craze for decades, and now they're not as popular. And yet sometimes you feel like you're too exposed to the street, or people can see in, or, I mean, I'm not saying do it in a master bedroom not to have some blinds on your windows. And yet in a main living area, does it really matter? Is the natural light, having some light in your room, more important than the privacy? Depending on where you're living, you have to find a balance or a harmony in that
You just got to
approach.
remember to put some clothes on before you go downstairs to get something, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that would be a good idea.
if you don't have blinds and shears.
Even if you have shears. just get dressed before you stand in front of a big window.
Yeah.
Regardless of what's covering.
Yeah, balances around, windows and what do you call those things that go down the sides?
Part of a balance?
Is it part of the balance?
I think so.
Okay.
Anyway, tails.
Tails, that's beautiful. They block some light. So even if you've got dark drapes that don't cover the window, those dark drapes absorb light out of the room.
They do. So if you're going to have dark because you want that, then having them beside the window is still certainly better than over top of the window.
Yes.
So it's really about finding a harmony, finding something that feels good to you and still lets in an adequate amount of light to make you feel great.
Yeah. Now in my theater room,
Right?
we have super dark drapes,
We do.
and they're generally always closed.
They are, because you want a dark room.
I don't really want light in there.
No, you don't.
No.
So there are times where you don't want it, so therefore you make it a dark room intentionally. If you have a dark room, which isn't as common today, but certainly like a dark room for developing pictures.
Oh, that kind of dark room. I didn't even know what you were talking about. Do people actually still do that?
Not very much anymore. I think it still exists a
I've
little
seen it
bit.
on movies once in a while.
We used to have dark room equipment.
Yeah, I
and
never
all
used
that
it
stuff.
though.
I know, we paid
bought
lots
it.
of money for
We bought
it.
it. We had the
Yeah.
equipment.
Yeah, there you go.
Number 4.
Number 4. Screens on your windows. In the summer, you got to deal with the screens, and then there's a lot more natural light.
A lot more
anyway,
length of natural
right, we
light.
have longer days. Well, the days aren't actually longer, but the sunlight is longer.
Thanks for that clarity.
Yeah, you're welcome, because I know every day's got 24 hours in it.
Yes, thank you.
And so removing the screens will actually let more light into your room. So in the wintertime, taking the screens, taking them out maybe in the fall, cleaning them, putting them away downstairs, or putting them downstairs and cleaning them in the spring before you put them back in the windows for bug season. Well, actually, it'll do a couple of things. It will actually create a lot more light coming into your room, also giving the windows a clean, much easier to clean them when there's no screens on them. So cleaning your windows lets more light in. And then the other thing it does, which is a side benefit, not so much about light, and yet it's important, is when you have a screen on the window, moisture gets trapped between the screen and the window and builds a little bit of mildew and icky smelling and black ugly stuff. And so if you take the screens off, you get the added benefit of also fresher air in your house.
Fresher air?
Yeah, it's fresher because you don't have the mildew.
Ah, okay. I get
and you don't have to do the extra
dots
cleaning.
there. There's a couple of dots to get to the clean air. Okay, got it.
Works though,
Yes.
right?
Oh, it totally
Truth.
works. Yes, and you won't get that condensation as much on your window because
Right.
there's actually airflow over it because the screen blocks a lot of the airflow.
And a lot of the light.
Yes, it does.
Uh-huh.
What's number 5, Yetta?
Adding a window, if you have a solid core steel door, insulated door at front or back of your house, amazing what you can do. You can buy half glass almost anywhere, off the shelf. You don't even have to do a custom order. Use a jigsaw to cut it open, and you can place a new window into your door and get a lot more light in.
Sometime I'd like to see you do that.
I know, I don't want to. I like it when Ken does these things, or we hire somebody else to do those things.
Yeah, when we moved into our new house, we changed all the glass in the doors, and we had a company come and do a custom glass. And part of the reason was the size. It was a very large piece of glass. So you can actually get steel doors that really don't have a lot of steel around them. There's a little trim around the outside edges, and it's primarily glass. So if you've got a fairly dark hallway, that type of thing can be wonderful. And it doesn't have to be see-through. If you're worried about security, you don't want people looking in your house, although you probably have windows, you can put some, you can put a laminate on it, like what do they call that? That film. You can put a film on it, but that will reduce a lot of light that comes through. But you can also get some opaque glass, some modern, funky feel, pebbled glass. Harder to see through, but light still comes through. It just gets refracted. That's a big word. Refracted differently. And that's why it's hard to see through it, but still the same amount of light's coming through.
Or close to it. I think some of them are tinted a little bit, so you're getting a little bit less light. But certainly still get an abundance of light without as much ability to see it. Even when they're beveled glass, then the light bounces a little differently and you don't see as much through it.
Yeah.
So that can be good.
So you can cut in a glass window, but if you're going to cut in a giant one, which you probably can't buy anyways, buy a new door because it will have more structure in it because it's got less steel.
Because it was intended. Right. Perfect. And then number 6 is add a skylight or a sun tube. One of the tubes that it feels like a light. When you look up during daylight, it actually feels like you've got just a small ceiling light in your room. Amazing amount of light, especially if you have a bathroom or something where there's no outside window, an interior bathroom, adding a sun tunnel or a sun tube can be an amazing thing. Or
remember that one
skylights.
we put in?
Yeah, it was awesome.
I did that.
I know you did.
Pretty handy guy.
Yeah.
I put in a sun tube. It's a really neat little thing. There's a dome that goes up on the roof, so you have to cut through the shingles and through the roof sheathing. And then in the bathroom, you cut another hole, same size, and you put, it looks like a light fixture. And then between them is a flexible tube that's high reflective, like a mirror inside, and the light bounces in there. And this light comes on. And so many times after installing, I went in the bathroom and I tried to turn out the light before I left, and you can't turn it out because it's natural sunlight.
How fun is that, right?
It's so fun.
It was actually.
You
And
could
I'll
play
still do
tricks
that
on
when I'm
people
out
with that.
showing property and they have one. And I actually do go into the bathroom sometimes 2 or 3 times to turn off the light because I forget that it's not a light. It's actually just sun coming naturally. And there's skylights have a bad rap
Yes,
in terms of, they really do.
They do.
And if they're not installed well, they're terrible. If they're installed right, they're great, provided. Now, you might want to watch one of our other shows talking about caulking and maintaining your house. As long as you keep the flashing and the caulking fresh around skylights, there's no need for them to leak. If they're not maintained, they're nasty.
And a lot of them, I think, what people think is leaking is staining because the home is kept too moist. Right. And just like water will condense on your window, it will condense on the skylight, and then it runs down the side wall, and then it stains it, and it looks like it's leaked, and it hasn't.
Right. This is true. That happens when we're showing property a whole lot, for sure. Yep. So other thing you can do is just have light and bright accessories in your house. Have light doorknobs, have light colored metal and different things that just bounce light.
We put in one of those.
We did.
We put in a light fixture. Yeah. Whether it's on or not, it makes Yetta smile.
It does.
Especially when the sun is coming from outside. It's one of those ones that has the, how do you say that
crystal.
Word? Crystal. But what kind? Swarovski crystal or something like that? I don't know. It's got crystal balls. And when the light comes in, it bounces off it and it puts rainbows all over the walls.
It does.
And you just got to kind of see it. Maybe sometime you'll put a picture up on Facebook.
I might.
You have to see what it does to the walls because it makes you smile and it's just bright and airy, reflective. We bought some also at Costco with crystals hanging in them and the same thing. And the neat thing is you can close one eye and shake your head and you get red and yellow colors and it looks
that
like Christmas lights sparkling.
It does look like Christmas. And it wasn't Ken that figured that out. It was a beautiful 9-year-old girl that was visiting us one day. And she looked at us standing in the foyer and she said, Yetta, close your eye, one of them, and shake your head. And I said, I don't want to do that. She says, no, honestly, do that. And so she'd been playing around, watching the light bounce around the room. And now I must admit, when people visit, they often get to close one eye and shake their head and see the beautiful light bouncing all over the place. It's kind of cool. So light is a joyful thing. Light actually brightens our mood. So the reason for doing this and doing a whole show on more light naturally is because it just makes us naturally happier.
Yeah. And we like meeting happy people.
Right.
I don't know about you. Grumps are not quite as much fun.
They're harder to actually serve.
Yes, they are.
So we want you to be light and bright when you come from your home and we go looking at property. Because then we're all in a better mood and it just works better.
Now this one I love. Okay. And as a matter of fact, my interior decorator who did the office building that we did a year ago, she actually did a very, very good job on this element. And that was not every office could have a window. So what she did was she made sure that any office that had a window also had a fairly large window beside the door so that the light from the window would come into the hallway. And it totally changed the feel of the hallways in that office, which was amazing. Now, you can do this at home because sometimes you've got a darker room and it's got a solid door. You could change it for a French door or one with a big piece of glass in it. It doesn't have to have all the little bars, right? It can look Asian. You can get the Asian style ones. And it will brighten up the adjoining room, taking advantage of the light coming from that window.
Yeah, which is amazing, actually. We've done that in our house, and it makes a difference because there's some rooms that just don't have much natural light in them or any natural light. And rather than only turning on light fixtures, because that's the other piece, you can turn on more light fixtures and you can get the bulbs that feel more like daylight. So that's maybe the unnatural way to make it feel natural.
Like our vitamin D light.
Right.
Which is on our nightstand. So when we wake up, we turn that on and it gives us natural vitamin D from the type of light bulb that's in that unit.
Exactly. So lighting up spaces through windows in other rooms just by adding extra glass is an amazing thing to do.
And in some rooms, we actually just took the doors off.
Yes, we did.
If you don't want to pay for a door with glass in it, just out with the door and you're all set. You got more light coming through.
You certainly
Not much
do.
privacy, though.
Not much privacy. So we're not suggesting you do that on a bedroom. You might do it on a den if, depending on how many people are living in the house or how open you want your office or your den anyway. Having no door there just allows more light to naturally filter from one room to the other. So decor, Ken touched on it earlier in the show, except he didn't finish the topic. And that is just having lots of acrylic or glass fixtures and decor in your house. Glass tables, glass lamps, anything that just brightens the space. And then removing the really dark, heavy pieces. Now, again, it's all about harmony. I like me some dark, heavy furniture in certain rooms, and I make sure there's other bright elements in the room so that it balances it a little bit.
Yeah, you want some contrast.
Yeah.
Some of the modern look is all white.
Yes.
And yet you can get some beautiful things in a bedroom. You have a little darker color on the walls, and you put light bedding on, or you put a white carpet or something to contrast, and that you still get enough reflection of light.
Yep. And then floors, dark floors, I love them. And yet, obviously, it makes the room feel a lot darker. Lighter floors brightens the space and brightens the energy in the room, and that can be a good thing. So, again, just really thinking about each element in your house as to where and how you want to create the light. The biggest single thing, and we talked about that at the beginning of the show, is just get stuff off your windows. Let the light come into the room.
That's half the battle, right?
It is.
And, sometimes if you've got a darker floor and you don't want to, have it refinished and stained lighter, just putting a light carpet, an area carpet that's light and bright or fun and sunny. Like we have a purple and silvery color ribbon type of one in our family room. And it's just joyful. It brings light to the room, even not so much in reflecting it, but brings that joy to the room. Now, kitchens are an area that people like light and bright. Now, most of the time it's done with artificial lighting.
Yeah, it is.
Because you got cabinets and stuff. You might have a window over the sink, but there's a lot of cabinetry. It might be dark cabinetry, whereas some of the new moderns is white cabinetry, very white countertops, white backsplashes with grays and things in them, but not pure white, but a lot of white. That's what's modern now.
A lot of white and light and a lot of glass.
So what we can do actually is if you've got darker cabinets, you can look at a lighter flooring. If you don't want to change the flooring, you can look at putting a lighter style granite countertop or a quartz white granite.
Quartz granite? No.
Quartz white countertop, not granite, because quartz and granite are two different things. And the other thing you can do is put more glass style backsplash. So it doesn't have to be all glass, like the semi-transparent glass, but you can put some glass tiles, some solid tiles, put some color in, and get some things reflecting that make the home look bright. Take out the black appliances.
And put in stainless, because even stainless appliances will actually bounce some light around for you as well, rather than just absorb the light.
I think that's why more and more people are going to stainless, as they just want that.
White works too, though. White appliances are good as well.
Yes.
And those still seem to have a fair bit of trending. White's always good. Doesn't matter what decade you're in. Because there was a time where there was green, there was burnt orange and green and avocado green and gold.
Was it avocado green or was it olive green?
I don't know. I think there was both.
I think it was, maybe it was both. You even had ones that had like a fading, had darker green going to a lighter green. Yeah, Dan's going, that's just weird. Yeah, well, Dan's not as old as us.
No.
We've seen more.
Yes, we have. And after being into, I think we figured out 25,000 homes, we have kind of seen the good, the bad, and
Yeah.
the really great and the not so great.
Yeah, and somebody had black tubs and black sinks, which I guess you got to really like it.
You do. So
What about mirrors on the ceiling? Would that reflect light?
you never know. I never know what's going to come out of Mr. Decker's mouth.
That's true.
So mirrors, I can't even talk. Mirrors clearly belong on the wall or over a sink. Clearly, let's get some light reflecting. And yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Now I don't even know what to say. So you can, Ken, you can share what you think is important now, because I can't talk no more.
I think it's important that we've brightened your life. And hopefully you can go home, make some of these changes. And you know what would be neat is don't tell your spouse, but go home and make a whole bunch of these changes. Because a lot of these you can make without really any cost or very little cost.
Right.
So run an experiential experiment. Is that cool?
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, so go in, change everything, take the drapes down, brighten things up, move the shears off the windows, put the blinds up high, put reflective things in.
Clean the mirrors or clean the windows. I'm assuming you clean your mirrors from time to time. The windows are a little more difficult. Take out the screens. And here's my recommendation. If you have a camera that you can get the right angle, take a picture of the room in its natural state with the shears and the screens and everything that's currently there. And then take another picture same time of day with about the same amount of light in the sky and see the difference.
It's a good idea.
You don't think it'll work?
It's a good idea, yeah.
Oh, it's a good idea.
And if you're using an iPhone or something like that, it's going to auto-adjust for the lighting, so it's not going to help you.
Okay.
But if you've got
put it on manual.
If you've got an SLR style and you can set it on manual and leave the settings exactly the same, then that would really show you the difference.
Okay. Well, okay, so here's the other difference. We'll just move away from that one and say that the biggest difference will be in how you feel, the energy that you have, and the bounce that you have in your step.
And I've got great energy. You know why I've got great energy? Because I've spent time with you. And I've been so excited to share this, and I hope that it's been a blessing. I hope that you'll make a few minor changes, or maybe you've already made all these changes to your home and you're living in the light naturally.